Hello everyone, welcome to Education in Hands. In this video, we are going to cover an important topic, that is design philosophy, and what are the types of design philosophies we are following according to our Indian context. So first, we will start with the design, which is the basic for our subject. The aim of design is to decide the shape, size, and connection details of the members. So whenever we are going to design a member or a structure, we need to decide its size, shape, and its connection details so that the structure being designed will perform satisfactory during its intended lifetime. For this, basically, with an appropriate degree of safety, the structure should sustain all the loads which are expected to act on it. So whenever we design a structure, we need to consider all the loads which are acting on the structure in its lifetime, and these loads to be sustained or carried away by the structure itself. Then it should sustain deformations during and after construction. So whenever these loads are acted on the structure, deformations will occur. So the design or the member after design, it should able to sustain these deformations also. Then it should have adequate durability. It should have adequate durability and adequate resistance to misuse and fire. Along with these, it should be stable and have alternate load paths to prevent the overall collapse under accidental loadings. Like when there is a blast or gas failure in a building, then generally some local damage will occur. But if that local damage leads to collapse of entire structure, means that design is not an safe design. So we need to take care of that accidental loadings, and it should not fall under total collapse category. Design has to be made like that. To achieve all these things in design, a design must be properly organized. So we need to follow a design philosophy. So here, if we see in design philosophies, analytical method of design consists in idealizing the structure, quantifying the expected loads, and carrying analysis to find the member forces, and sizing the members based on possible failure criteria. So whenever we are performing an analytical method in design, first we need to keep in mind this idealizing the structure. We are idealizing the structure, then quantifying the expected loads. What are the loads going to act on the structure? And then carrying the analysis. Then after analysis, we need to find the member forces. With that member forces, we will select the size, shape, and connection details of the members of a structure. So keeping this mind, we need to take care of the design. But the problem is there are certain limitations in precisely modeling the structure. So we can't model the structure exactly for those loads or for the conditions given. For that reason, what we are taking here is working conditions are kept as a fraction of failure condition. For example, if we take a material which is having a capacity of 100 kilonewtons, which means at the load of 100 kilonewtons, it will fail. So we can't design the member for that 100 kilonewtons. Why? Because if we take for that 100 kilonewtons, in general conditions, it will carry that load. But if it is in special conditions like accidental loads or impact loads are acting on that member, then the increase in load will cause failure in that member. So for that reason, if it is capable of carrying 100 kilonewtons, we are taking working condition as only 50 or 60 kilonewtons. That is the point here. Working condition is kept as a fraction of failure condition. Why? Because to take care of the accidental or unexpected loads also. So based on these conditions, design philosophies are majorly classified into three types. They are working stress method or elastic analysis method, and ultimate load design or plastic analysis method, or the most used one, limit state method. So let us see one by one briefly. Whereas we are not having working stress method and ultimate load design method in our design context. Why? Because we are just following limit state method, but these two are the primary design methods which lead to the development of limit state method. So first we will see working stress method. So it is the oldest systematic analytical design method. So first ever design method, analytical design method is working stress method. In our India, we used to follow IS code 800 1984 is the code for working stress method steel design. And also in IS 800 2007, which is the code for steel design using limit state method, specifies or permits the use of working stress method where limit state method is not conveniently applied. So nowadays also we are using working stress method for certain steel designs like water tanks, etc. In this working stress method, the stress-strain relationship of steel is considered linear till the yield stress. So we know the stress-strain diagram for a mild steel. In that stress-strain diagram, we are considering only yield stress as the maximum point or failure point for the steel. So the yield stress is the failure stress in this method. Then it is also known as elastic analysis method or elastic method. So as we discussed in this previous slide, if we take this failure stress as yield stress, to overcome these uncertainties in design, permissible stress or working stress, or it may be design stress, is kept as a fraction of yield stress. So for example, if we consider mild steel, its yield stress is generally 250 Newton per mm square. So we are not taking the 250 Newton per mm square as a design consideration. We are taking fraction of that 250 Newton per mm square. So for that, to maintain this fraction of yield stress, a factor called factor of safety is introduced, where permissible stress or working stress will be equal to yield stress by factor of safety, so that the stresses which are considered for design will be less than the yield stress, which is the failure stress in our working stress method. So with this, the members are sized as per permissible stresses so as to keep it in a safe condition. If we see the advantages of working stress method, it is very simple. Why? Because we are just considering yield stress as our upper limit or failure limit and designing the method. So there is no need of entering into plastic stage. We are doing everything in elastic stage only. That's why it is a simple and convenient method. The next one, reasonably reliable in nature, very reliable method also. And also the working stresses are low, the serviceability requirements of a building or a structure are satisfied automatically. So we are not at all going beyond the yield stress. So there is no need to take care of the serviceability conditions. So structure is safe. And if we see the limitations, the major drawback in this method is the ultimate stress, which is not ultimate stress, which means the failure point we are considering is the yield stress in the steel, but the steel can carry more load beyond that yield stress also. We know that thing from our stress strain diagram. So that is the major drawback. We are considering only up to yield stress, but we are not utilizing the full potential of the steel in the design, which makes this design as an uneconomical one. See here, factor of safety into working stress is not equal to failure load. Why? Because actually material can resist more than permissible stress, since failure stress is taken up to yield stress only, the same thing which we discussed now. So it become an uneconomical design. That's why designers are not using this method nowadays to save the material. So from these limitations, the next approved method is ultimate load design method. It is purely developed from the limitations of working stress method about load carrying capacity. So researchers has developed this method. If we see this ultimate load method, in the name itself, it is specified like ultimate load. So ultimate load or fracture load of the material is taken as the limit in this design method. This method is also known as load factor method or plastic design method. Why? Because we are going beyond yield stress, which means the material used to behave in a plastic way. That's why we call this method as a plastic design method also. Then the design criteria. See here, the design criteria is the ultimate strength. The ultimate strength is fixed as the failure point, and design is based on that failure point only. So behavior of member beyond the yield stress is inelastic. So that's why plastic range is also considered. So in this method, if we see, working loads are multiplied with load factors as per IS 800 1984. Whereas if we see in working stress method, working stress or permissible stress is taken as fraction of failure stress, which is nothing but fraction of yielding stress. But here in this ultimate load design method, working loads are multiplied with load factors to obtain the ultimate loads. Means we are taking 100 newtons load as the load which is acting on the member. So for that 100 newtons load, we are multiplying with some load factor. So this is from load side and working stress is from ultimate failure side. Then if we see the advantages of this method, it overcome the effects of working stress method, which means we are considering up to ultimate load, so that we are saving the material, which become the economical method compared to working stress method. Then next, if we see the limitations, the major drawback in this method is we are not considering the serviceability conditions. Why? Because we are taking ultimate load as the failure criteria and we are designing up to that point. But whenever there is an action of unexpected or accidental loads on that member, then member used to fail. So we are not taking care of the serviceability conditions. And also we are not considering any safety factor for the material. So a member is taking care of 100 kilonewtons load, means we are designing for that 100 kilonewtons load. We are not taking any fraction of that load as a design load. This is also a major drawback in this method. And variability involved in design parameters are not considered. So what are the variabilities involved in design are not considered in this method. So with these drawbacks, this design doesn't stand for a long time. Within a short span after it get introduced into the market, it got vanished. Then after considering the limitations in working stress method and this ultimate load method, the next method, which is the limit state method, is developed in Indian context. So if we see what is meant by limit state method, means it is the comprehensive method which will take care of both strength and serviceability requirements. So in working stress method, we didn't care much about strength. Why? Because we are taking very less, even if the material capacity is more. Whereas the serviceability requirements are satisfied. But in ultimate load design method, we are taking care of strength, but we are not bothering much about serviceability requirements. So these two limitations are considered in mind and limit state method is adopted. So here limit state method, the method name itself stating that limit states, everything is limited in this method, right? So the strength of structure till the formation of collapse mechanism is considered in this method. Means this is also a kind of plastic method, but the formation of collapse mechanism is highly considered in this method. And as well as to take care of uncertainties in design and construction, code suggests increasing in workload by safety factor. Means whenever we are designing a member for certain load, we are multiplying that load with certain factor, which is called design load. And as well as to take care of uncertainties in the material, design strength is reduced by partial safety factor. Means here we are considering the both working stress method. In working stress method, we take design strength or permissible stress as a fraction of failure criteria, and in ultimate load design method we considered load into certain factor as the design load. So in limit state method both the things are considered in one place. That's why this method become very popular. So what is meant by limit state method, and what are the limit states we are following, and how this design strength and design loads are calculated, and what are the serviceability requirements in this limit state method, we will discuss in the next video in detail. So we will wind up in this video and we will start the limit state method in the next video. Thank you. See you in the next video. Bye.